Hey guys, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Um, I saw something online that kind of disturbed me, and it's from a church that I used to follow. I don't much follow that pastor in that church anymore, but um, I saw a lot of um, uh, pro-black um, stuff, and it was just very pro-black, and I'm black myself, so I'm pro-black. um and it was just um talking about black power and all of that stuff, and I just for me, um there's a place for cultural representation. There's a place for being proud of your culture. But it's almost like we say we want the world to treat us the same, but we separate ourselves. Whether that be color, whether that be eco- economical background, whether that be sexual orientation, we have these different groups. But we say we want to be treated the same, but we have these different groups. And I think not that those things shouldn't be available, they should to a point, but I think now it's gotten to a point where, for my opinion anyway, it's dangerous because the Lord created everyone. And I'm not saying that people people's accomplishments shouldn't be celebrated in regards to their color or their race or their gender or whatever. But I think when that kind of thinking leads into the church, it's a problem because the Lord, Jesus prayed in the garden that they may all be one. And I think what he meant by that was black, white, rich, poor, even people you don't agree with, uh, liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat. If you don't know what liberal conservative is, it's the it's two of the main parties, political parties in Canada. Um, it's like the states has Republican, Democrat. We have liberal and conservative. Um, it's just I don't think it's kingdom, and it's dangerous, and it's like we separate ourselves, but we want to be treated differently. Um, no, we want to be treated differently, but yet we separate ourselves into these groups. So we have things for people with disabilities, but we want to be integrated in society. We have things for black people, but yet uh, we want to be integrated in society. I was um, I was watching something that was awesome, and it was all these black men just sitting down together and talking together, and I was like, "That's so awesome!" But can't they just sit down as men? I know culturally we have our different challenges, but if we want this racism, sexism, homophobia to go away, we need to start seeing each other first as human. And as we see each other as human, as we see each other as our fellow sister and brothers in Christ, then we could add all the cultural differences, all the um, gender differences, all of the sexual orientation differences. Because at the bottom of who we are, before we are black, before we are white, before we are straight, before we are gay, before we are transgender, before we are rich, before we are poor, before we are Christian, before we are Muslim, we are human. And I think we've lost the humanness of who we are and just have sunk it down to these little boxes and how we look and how we're born and whether we are born that way or whether we're not born that way or whether we're a woman or whether we're a man or whether whatever. We've sunk it down to these things. And not that these things shouldn't be celebrated, they should. But um, first, we need to start looking at each other as human. And then, when we look at each other as human, then we can add the beauty of our cultures, the beauty of our differences. But unless we look at each other as human first, none of that stuff will matter. You know what slavery, the Holocaust, all those atrocities, what was done to the Japanese in World War II. Not Japanese, yeah, Japanese in in um the Viet. I think it was the Vietnam War. Jews was World War II. The Japanese was some other war where they took them off to camps and did all that stuff to them. And even the people in Ireland, you know what all of those atrocities have in common? They strip them of their humanity. Because when you strip a person and tell them that they're only three-fifths human or they're not human at all, when you tell them they can't work or they can't have this kind of job because of who they are or the abilities that they have or don't have, then then you then you kind of not kind of then you kind of say not kind of but you say that they're nothing. And then when you strip them of their humanity, you strip them of their identity. And then when you strip them of their identity, there's trouble. So guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye. See you later. Hi, hold on just 1 second.